Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's persecution report. 6 months after the BNP assumed power, Bangladesh finds itself in a center of intense political debate. The government came to office promising political stability, democratic reform, and economic recovery. Yet, many critics argue that the reality has been very different. They point to a deteriorating law and order situation, rising concern over political violence, mounting economic pressure on ordinary people like us, and of course, there are some serious allegations of deliberate attacks on the members and supporters of Awami League. There are also growing concerns about the resurgence of religious extremism and the state's ability to maintain security. So, in today's episode, we will find out based on evidence, based on real life experiences from people, we will find out where we are with BNP after 6 months on. And today I'm very honored to have my three friends accompanying me in today's program. We have Jasmin Chowdhury. She is a senior health practitioner and a social justice campaigner. We have Tonoy Emroz. He is an editorial member of renowned media outlet BD Digest. And of course, we have our very own Anwar Sadat Jihan. He is an aerospace engineer and a columnist. And all three, if I want to introduce them with only two sentences, I would say all three of them are monitoring the situation of Bangladesh like a hawk and doing everything in their ability to make a change. So, Jihan, I will start with you first. Jihan, so every episode, we are very grateful to you. Every episode, you take us a walk through what is going on in Bangladesh. If I can request you to do the same thing with today's episode.
Thank you, Rana, for the kind introduction. So today we are looking at the first 6 months of the BNP government. 6 months ago from today, Bangladesh saw in its first elected government after this so-called transition in 2024. And in that election, there was the major political party, Awami League, completely absent. So today, 6 months from that day, election day, where Bangladesh stands is our question. We will look at where Bangladesh stands through 5 lenses, namely, firstly, the law and order, and then we will look at the public health situation. We'll look at what is happening in terms of political inclusivity, and then the economy, and Mr. Tariq Rahman's leadership style. And finally, we will provide a verdict about whether Bangladesh is heading towards the right direction or not. So let me start with the law and order situation, because I want to hold BNP government accountable on that. Because when they came into power and when they were running their campaign, they did not promise that they were gonna fix the economy someday or they were gonna do this and that. Their first pledge was that they would fix the broken law and order. Our mother and sisters would be able to walk safely and freely in Bangladesh. That was their first pledge, and that was their first pledge on their first cabinet meeting on February 18. So when we look at the law and order situation, Rana, it is going in a negative direction. The Operation Devil Hunt that started under the Yunus regime continues with more force, with a democratic legitimacy. In the first 3 months after the BNP's fall, 61 people died in custody. 61 Awami League activists and leaders. For the case of Juba League leader Nurul Alam, the difference between his arrest and his ultimately passing away was only 1 day. So he was arrested today. Next day, we have seen his dead body. Now the International Crisis Group asked the BNP government to do a systemic reviews of all the mass cases filed against the Awami League activists. But till this day, there has been 0 systemic reviews of any mass cases filed against the Awami League. The most chilling and the most crucial is the life of the babies, Rana, because measles outbreak, a preventable outbreak that we have been seeing, took away more than 600 lives according to government data, 588, but it is more than thousands. We don't know all the numbers of all the babies that we lost. Now, this is not directly the fault of the BNP government because the crisis ensued from the decisions taken by the interim regime. But the BNP government failed to contain this disaster. Prime Minister was busy chilling with his wife on a long drive while our children were dying. They have allocated 604 crore BDT for bringing vaccines. They are claiming that 91% plus children have been vaccinated, but the data does not match with what they are saying. And then political exclusion, because no democracy can succeed when not all the elements are included in the political theater. Bangladesh's democracy cannot succeed without the Awami League in it, and Awami League remains unlawfully banned till this day. Without any due process, without any judicial inquiries or anything, Yunus government banned the Awami League. And like many, we also expected when the BNP government or any other elected government comes into power, there will be some changes. But no, they enacted this executive ordinance into a law at the parliament. Now look at the economy, Rana. Economy, even during the COVID time, when the whole world was breaking, there was Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina leading Bangladesh through catastrophe. We haven't seen this kind of plummet of GDP and the economic disaster. Our GDP today stands less than 3%. The inflation is more than 9%. The non-performing loan keeps getting worse and worse by the day. Now the foreign reserves is the only positive sign we are seeing, but it has nothing to do with the BNP government. Foreign reserves has nothing to do with the BNP government. Now Tariq Rahman, a convicted criminal by information obtained from international leading investigating agencies such as the FBI. So his leadership style, I personally have been seeing some changes, but it is all rhetoric, Ranapa, it is all PR, as part of his PR campaign. He is driving a van with a autistic person when our children are dying. So his priorities are in the wrong place. And this is what we are seeing in all the initiatives that they taken. Family cards, electric bus, all these things they are busy with when the main important structural changes that are needed are having no focus from the government. So to end, what we are seeing today is that Bangladesh is not heading toward the right direction without healing, without proper reconciliation with more than 60% of the people. Bangladesh cannot progress. And this is where we are at today. Bangladesh is heading towards the wrong direction. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Jihan. And can I request everyone to mute their microphone when one person is talking? Thank you, everyone. Jihan, looks like when the BNP came into power, there were lots of very flashy talk, very flashy promises. But looking at the health data you have just shown and the economic condition, looks like the reality is very different. So, based on what you said and based on our own experience and information, can I come to you, Tonoy? Tonoy, my question is to you is governments are ultimately judged not by their rhetoric but by the strength of the institutions they build. Now, 6 months into the BNP government's tenure, has Bangladesh witnessed institutional reform or merely there is a change of face or the name? Now, whatever point you are talking about, what evidence you have to support your assessment, please, Tonoy?
Thank you, Ranapa. When we talk about reform and of reform and the democratic government, one of the most fundamental issue is the legitimacy of the government. If you take into the consideration how the this BNP government was elected, there would be no doubt that they have a serious credibility claim. The election, the mandate, the election mandate they have, it is contested and with like and not supported by any democratic norm or democratic electoral norm. So, if the government did not come to power through a genuinely competitive, credible, and constitutionally legitimate electoral process that provided it with a clear popular mandate, then its claim to be undertaking democratic institutional reform begins with a serious credibility deficit. So that's the biggest problem of this BNP government, that it does not have electoral mandate or credibility. As we all know, that last election, the biggest political party of the country, Bangladesh Awami League, was not allowed to contest in the election. If there were a free and fair election, we and most people in the country have no doubt that Awami League would have won, and this would be Awami League's government. Let's put it this way: 60% of the people, 60% of the people, they did not participated on that election. Now, the government record since taking office also raises serious question about political neutrality. And you know what's happening with the teachers in Bangladesh, especially the university teachers? It serves as an example. You have seen in Dhaka University, teachers were listed, and it has been circulated that there would be disciplinary action based on their political belief, which is unacceptable. These are the top educators of the country. These are the researchers. These are scientists, and like fundamental to a country is your academic freedom, and also a fundamental freedom to have a political belief, the right to assembly, right to association, and the top people, the top merits of the country are barred from having that right. And you can see from that, okay, what type of governments we are talking about here. And if we go to, okay, there are same concerns evident in recent government appointments, like in every sector of the country. One of the main characteristic test of institutional reform is whether appointments are made according to competence, experience, integrity, and in a transparent manner. If senior positions are increasingly filled according to party affiliation, uh, you know, we do not have to say anything. Everyone could understand that. And okay, I had a little problem with my camera. I hope you guys can hear me. And then when we come to institutional reform, let's not forget Bangladesh since 1991, we had democracy, continuous democracy, and we have been through reforms. Like maybe slow, maybe as much may it wasn't as much as we wanted, but we had reforms. So the government, the new government, and the predecessor of it, Muhammad Yunus, what they did is they dismantled all our institutions. Everything we achieved, everything we achieved, they dismantled it. So they're in a course of breaking Bangladesh, not making it. Thank you so much, Vanapa. You're mute.
Sorry, thank you, Tonoy. I really like when you mentioned about Dhaka University because it shows how our educational institutes are being affected, and when educational institutes are being affected, it shows a very grim situation of Bangladesh as well. And just add on to about Dhaka University, this kind of made up claim or a very false kind of claim going against the law as well. They're having a manhunt about Awami League activists in educational institute, in teachers community, in all other universities as well. They're doing the same in Chittagong University, in Rajshahi University, in Begum Rokeya University. So it's not only Dhaka University, they are targeting all the other universities, especially the higher study. So thank you very much for mentioning this. Jihan, can I come back to you again? As we are talking about the reform of institution, can you give us any specific example, or you can give us more if you want to? Do you believe any specific institution, one or many, do you believe they seriously were reformed in a positive way or they deteriorated? What is your opinion?
Thank you, Rana. Look, BMP came to power, like as I said during the presentation, they came to power with a pledge, their first pledge to fix the law and order. And the law and order relates to Bangladesh's law enforcement agencies, namely primarily the police. So we have to look at the police, our law enforcement as an institution, and see what has happened in the last 2 years. Our law enforcement agencies and their activities were being praised by the whole world in terms of countering terrorism, in terms of maintaining stability and containing the crimes. But look at the data from the first 3-4 months of this year. It is not our persecution reports data or data from some other political pamphlets. It is data from the police headquarters, police's own data. They are saying that there have been more murders in March and April than the same period of last year. And the attacks on police themselves have risen significantly. And then the robbery, rapes, everything is on the rise. Now look at mob violence.
Sorry, and also rape and torture in women as well.
Right. And then look at the mob violence. The mob violence data. Mob violence, I have never seen such kind of mob violence in my entire life in Bangladesh while I used to live there. Mob violence in the first 6 months of this year, first 4 months or six months of this year, 71 people died due to mob violence, and 35 of them is only in the month of March and April, right after the BMP government took over power. So these numbers are giving you a pattern about the capacity of the law enforcement. I remember the first persecution report when I started, it was about the river being a dumping ground of our Awami League activists' dead bodies. The rivers are still the same. The numbers continue to rise. But where has the police gained their more power? In surveillance. The government is enforcing them with more surveillance capable tools so that they can surveil on political opposition and suppress them. So to conclude, the law enforcement, namely the police, was meticulously destroyed by the conspirators, because if we don't have law and order, we don't have a country. Back to you.
Thank you, Jihan. I fully agree with you. The law and order situation, this is something that the government take it very, very seriously. And also because we were talking about police, just a couple of weeks ago, some high-ranked police officers, some high-ranked police officials, they made redundant of their job. They were forced to retire early, and the claim was they were supporting Awami League during Awami League's tenure. So, of course, that institution as well looks like there are lots of corruption going on. So, thank you very much for mentioning this, Jihan. Jasmin Appa, can I come to you? And I want to ask you something about economy. Now, economic performance is often judged not only by the GDP growth, but whether people's lives are improving and also whether the business have confidence in the future. Now, after 6 months of the BNP government, how would you assess the state of Bangladesh economy? Jasmin, you.
Thank you, Rana. It's a pleasure and a privilege to join you all, as always. So, coming to your question, you're absolutely right. Economic performances should not be judged not only by the headline GDP figures, but by whether people's lives are improving, whether people feel safe and secure in their communities, in their workplaces, whether businesses can operate normally and investors have confidence in the future, whether jobs are being created. And from those, when you take those points into consideration, I would assess Bangladesh's economy after the 6 months of BNP government as being in a deeply fragile and deteriorating condition. Now, the reason I'm saying that is the most immediate concern, as we've just heard from both of the previous contributors, the political and the social instability, they have continued. In some cases, escalated further under Tariq Rahman's rule over the last 6 months. So the regular occurrences of mob violence, disruption to businesses, activities, the rising in criminality, the anarchy, and the total breakdown of rule of law have affected any confidence that was remaining in the economic sector. So many entrepreneurs, the central issue is not simply the GDP growth slowing down, but whether they can actually keep their factories, shops, and supply chains operating without any intimidation, any violence or disruption. And one of the most visible, concerns, and I guess evidently in front of us, is the sharp slowdown in growth. According to official estimates, GDP growth has fallen to 2.22% compared to 6.80% during the previous Awami League period. International institutions have also acknowledged a significant loss of economic momentum. So the IMF has noted that Bangladesh's growth slowed sharply in 2025, while the World Bank has warned that urgent reforms are needed to restore macroeconomic stability, sustain growth, and create jobs in Bangladesh. So industrial activity has weakened as a overall, it's weakened dramatically. We know industrial production has fallen sharply, and the industrial sector has entered negative growth territory, something which is being described as unprecedented in decades in Bangladesh. The banking sector has also come under severe stress. There are widespread concerns about a sharp rise in defaulted loans, with ratio of non-performing loans increasing from 13% to as high as 47% in parts of the system. There is little doubt the financial sector vulnerabilities have intensified over the last 6 months. Both IMF and the World Bank have identified banking sector weaknesses as a major risks to the economy in Bangladesh. So for ordinary citizens, the crisis is being felt through inflation, falling in purchasing power, and the growing insecurity in their lives and livelihood. Food prices remain elevated, and many households are struggling to maintain the previous living standards. Reports have suggested a significant increase in poverty also, with claims that poverty rate has risen from 18.6% to a staggering 46.8% over the last 2 years. If this trend continues, this would mean a very serious social deterioration in a short period of time. And employment is perhaps the most painful dimension in the whole crisis. So job creation, as we know, has weakened sharply. Nearly 2 crore people are said to have fallen in new unemployment or severe unemployment. And this kind of collapse in labor market conditions could have profound consequences for lower income families, as well as the young people, the very people that were promised better prospects in July 2024. So the deterioration in business confidence is equally concerning. More than 500 industrial factories have closed, while many business owners and industrialists are operating under tremendous pressure. Some are facing legal action, detention, and are forced into hiding. The current prime minister, as we have already heard, doesn't exactly have the best track record when it comes to credibility and building confidence of investors and economy in Bangladesh. He was described as the Dark Prince, you may remember, by US diplomats in 2005. So an US diplomat, Harry K. Thomas, actually in some of his correspondence in May 2005, described Tariq Rahman as inhuman, absolutely corrupted, and illiterate in many different ways. So regardless of political characterizations and interpretation, an environment in which the government seized power through conspiracy, years of propaganda, and election engineering, the Prime Minister's track record does actually matter here. This volatile environment where investors feel insecure is not conducive to investment, production, and long-term growth in terms of the economy. And we've touched on public investment. We can significantly. So there's very little in the terms of investment into development, which has fallen to a 53-year low, and reducing government's ability to sort of support any kind of infrastructure. These economic, the patterns of economic deterioration has serious implications for public health. When inflation rises, unemployment rises, poverty increases, families and ordinary citizens reduce their spending on nutritious food, medicine, and are deprived of access to preventative health care. When you add this to the handling of the recent public health challenges, such as the measles outbreak, which Mr. Jihan touched on in his presentation, the unforgivable negligence and the failure by Mohammed Yunus's interim government to ensure effective vaccination coverage for our young children, and the continuation of this failure under Tariq Rahman to ensure effective surveillance and the rapid outbreak response. This risks years of progress that was made under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government. And these significant setbacks in public health can wider social and economic consequences by increasing healthcare costs for families, disrupting education, and reducing workforce productivity. So taking all these factors into consideration, what they indicate and what they suggest is the issue is not simply slower growth, it is the reversal of economic progress and the erosion of confidence across Bangladesh's households, businesses, and financial institutions. The ordinary people are the ones who appear to be paying the highest price for through higher living costs, weaker job opportunities, rising poverty, and greater economic and social public health inequalities. Thank you.
Very, very, very insightful, Jasmin. About very, very much. Thank you. Just to add on to the measles outbreak, you were talking about how the children are suffering. And also, let's think about the family as well. They are, those are family, there were lots of data were collected based on what the family is doing, not by the government, but by some private sectors as well. And they are saying the families, most of the family, they are borrowing money to make sure their children get some treatment, not the adequate treatment, but to get some very basic treatment. Many of them, they lost their jobs because they are spending huge amount of time with their children in the hospital. So the government failed to protect the children and also the government failed to protect the family as well. And because we are talking about BNP and their politics in today's episode, BNP, just as out of vendetta, they are closing many of the SLM factories. Only a couple of days ago, they closed a SLM factory in Chittagong, and 4,000 people lost their jobs just in one day. And I also would like to point out how the government is handling the energy crisis at the moment. It is that the government is not handling the energy crisis at all. Many of the factories, either they're closing permanently or they're shut for a very long period of time. And also the government is planning to privatize the energy market as well. So there are lots of ifs and buts there too. So of course, thank you, Jasmin Apal. Looks like the economic sector, there are not many reform there too. Tonoy, can I come to you this time? And I want to ask you, someone's microphone. Thank you. One of the government's primary responsibility is to prevent violent extremism while protecting civil liberties. Now, over the past 6 months, is there evidence that extremist groups have become more active or influential? And if so, what factors may have contributed to this trend? Tonoy.
Thank you, Rana. Before going to this extremist question, I would like to touch down on what Jasmin Appa said and what you have said about the energy sector. And Jihan was telling us moments ago that the $30 billion reserve, uh, Bangladesh had a similar type of reserve for quite a long time. $25 billion when Bangladesh Awami League left its power. What's happening right now? Why do they have this reserve? As we know, Bangladesh's economy, like they have this reserve, yet our business is declining. Our export is declining. Even in the first quarter, it's 4% decline at the beginning of this financial year. Yet, it's because our industrial activism has been slowed down so much. Just imagine a country with 170 million people, 174 million people, with a GDP of 455 billion, which is 6.8%, like 6 to 6.8%, like increase for the last 10 years. Suddenly this economy slowed down to, like, to negative 3.2%, 3%, even probably less, 2.8%. Some our economists are predicting, and institutions. So you see this massive gap. We are not importing the raw materials that are needed for our business. So now we are not importing raw materials needed for business. We have a reserve there. All we are doing is paying loans. And also what this government doing is borrowing money heavily from the banking sector of the country. Right now, Bangladeshi banking sector, because we do not have business activism in the country. So banking sector is heavily dependable on the government. Government is borrowing from the banking sector, which is like so concerning for the economy. But it will have such a long-term effect. And also, let's not forget the our bankruptcy rate. It reached the mountain top right now. It's momentous, mountainous. This, like, every day, the scores of big companies, they are bankrupting themselves just because the government, they do not have a policy to support the businesses. Okay, I'm sorry for my network disruption. So the government, they do not have a policy. They do not have a policy to support these businesses. We're seeing a declining, like Yunus era, for 2 years we have seen this decline. The growing emerging tiger of Asia we were called in the last 10 years. And now we have like, Moody's and S&P, everyone are listing us as negative business country. That our rating is negative now. Impossible just 2 years ago. Now, when it comes to the energy sector, okay, I'm not against that privatizing the energy sector. At one point, we will have to do that. But this is a major decision for the country, major decision. So, if you want to privatize the energy sector, first thing you have to ensure that there is competition. You cannot give monopoly to one business. They can hold the country ransom. It's energy sector we are talking about. And the minister saying within 4 days it will have to be finalized. Why is the plan? Why is the bidding? That you'll have to have a bidding,
And also,
and
Tonoy,
then when it comes to terrorism, about that was your question.
Tonoy, can I quickly add something because we are talking
Yes,
about
please.
energy sector? Yes, privatization can be an option if it's needed, but there needs to be some talk between different stakeholders. The problem is we haven't seen any talk taking place before coming up with such a big sort of plan. And also,
Exactly.
you were talking about how the government could have so much. We are talking about government can have lots of revenue somehow. I forgot the actual
No, no,
word.
no. I mean, the government can save. Okay, the first thing is that, okay, we have to privatize these sectors like the entire world. Okay, it's not today. We'll have to do it in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. But when we do that, and this is not okay, we are just doing now. Okay, we spoke about it. All governments, they're thinking about it. What we'll have
Yeah,
to do is it will have to be carefully drafted, carefully designed, carefully
exactly,
managed.
exactly,
Because this is the
exactly,
energy sector, the backbone of a nation.
exactly.
You
And
cannot give monopoly to one company over our energy sector.
you can't, literally, you can't. And also, I would like to point out something else. The government is spending as low as possible for annual development plan ADP as well. So it says 25-26 in that financial year. Government only spent 60. They can only manage to spend 67.5% of their plan, and that is the lowest since 1974. So that is something that is really worrying, and you should be really worried about all these things together.
I mean, this can be debated. This can be debated in many ways. Like, you see, you have a ADB and your country. Okay, you have a 6.5% GDP. You had suddenly your GDP dropped to 3% or less than 3%. You do not have money to manage your ADP program. So they have a shortage of money for sure. But what is staggering is like it's like so, like, it makes you think so much that a government, it received such an infrastructure from the previous government. Like, today, Tariq Rahman, the current PM, he went to Matarbari. He visited Matarbari and he was mesmerized. Like, what type of development is this? Like, what a wonder! Like an entire remote island, it's become an industrial zone with processing centers. It has its own energy. It has a port, transportation. It's amazing development done by Bangladesh Awami League government. And that thought was that our energy sector, our nuclear power plant, it will give us a boost. Then we have Padma Bridge. That would have given us 2% in a GDP boost. Now, when we are talking about uh, extremism in country, this is a fact. This is the fact that whenever BNP comes to power, extremism rises in Bangladesh. It is a fact based on all those telegraphs leaked by WikiLeaks from US Embassy that the BNP government, those of that time, the military officials telling the military intelligence, telling the WikiLeaks, telling the US Embassy officials that we have good connection with the terrorists under Tariq Rahman's government. Tariq Rahman facilitated terrorists to kill our leader Sheikh Hasina in 2004, the grenade attack on August 21st. Like Harkatul Jihad, the operatives, they were given state protection. They are given arms and ammunition by the state, go kill Sheikh Hasina and Awami League leaders. They did not face any trial for that. We have seen in previous term of BNP government, bomb blast in every courtroom in Bangladesh. So who are these people actually, these terrorists? These terrorists are stakeholders in BNP. They are not, it's not just like BNP supporting them for their cause, like, many countries do that. It's not like that. These people are stakeholders at BNP. Awami League government ousted, when Awami League government was, okay, let's say ousted. Okay, first, one of the first thing they did, they released Jasimuddin Rahmani. Anyone in this world are studying terrorism, they know this name, Jasimuddin Rahmani, the terrorist, the mastermind of BNP, mastermind of terrorism in Indian subcontinent, one of the masterminds. Harun Jihar, one of the masterminds of terrorism. These people are free. They meet BNP leaders on a regular basis. They have a say in BNP policy and BNP politics. We have seen in 2005, their previous term, BNP ministers are talking with JMB terrorists. They're holding rallies with them. And this is exactly what's happening right now in Bangladesh. Terrorism, because people like Harun Jihar, Jasimuddin Rahmani, they are out. So they're all their followers, they're boosted and they're operating openly. We have seen in last 2-3 weeks powerful bombs found in our metro rail station. Look, these are the this is telltale sign of terrorism. Like, what if you want to blast something in Bangladesh? Where it would be? It's a rail station, metro rail station. That's exactly where the bombs are found. We have seen Jamaat Islami leaders, their homes. Okay, the bomb blast. There are fires. There are accidents. 3 bombs are found. And just 2 days ago, there was a government alert issued all over the country because of bomb blasts. What we haven't seen, no perpetrators were arrested. So what they do, BNP, they threat to bomb, BNP negotiates with them. Instead of bringing them to book, it's just, they're stakeholders of BNP, they're members of BNP. Maulana Tajul Islam, okay, he the terrorist of 21st grenade attack, was brother of BNP's ex-parliamentarians. This is exactly what BNP is, and BNP during this government's time, Bangladesh will become a safe haven for terrorism. That's one thing for sure. And then other terrorism fact we have, that is our Chinang hill tracts. Because of very nationalistic view, a conservative nationalistic view, I would say, right-wing nationalistic view, they're not discriminatory towards the other ethnic races, like the ethnic races we have in our hill tracts. So these people, we know in our hill tracts, there is turbulence. Even it's more than turbulence. So this discriminatory nature of the government will give rise to terrorism there too. Then we know that Rohingya camps. We are getting reports that there are arms in Rohingya camps everywhere. All right, this. In Bangladesh, we are investigating these things. Previously, Bangladeshi, underworld, when they used to talk about firearms, they used to talk about shotguns maximum, pistol, revolvers. Some are made in Bangladesh, okay, in just simple lead factories. But now in Bangladeshi underworld, the common thugs have AK-47. On top of that, add those arms looted from police stations during August 5, 2024 uprising. So the terrorism and government is doing nothing to recover those arms because government knows where they are. These are in the hand of their people, and that's where we are in terms of terrorism. There is no good news, and it's gonna worsen. The world should take notice because safety and security of South Asia, the region means safety and security and peace of the world too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tonoy. Very, very insightful. Can I just add on to something because we were talking about terrorist alert? Bangladesh is in terrorist alert. Bangladesh police especially is in terrorist alert again since Friday. We have seen in the news outlet they're not expecting, but there is a possibility that there could be some bomb attacks. So the police are asked to be vigilant. And we have also seen something that at least I never seen before. I'm talking about the World Cup football. We've been enjoying World Cup football in our own way for very, very long time. And of course, I do not agree flying on other countries' flag, but I understand people do not do it with any kind of evil thought. But this year we have seen something very, very different. We have seen just to protest that people are flying other countries' flag. All of a sudden, we have seen a group of religious extremists. They started hanging flag of IS all over the Bangladesh, and it was something very new. ISIS, sorry, it is very, very alarming. It was very, very new, and people from all sector they try to protest it, but I haven't noticed government has done much. And also we have seen our home minister, he claimed a couple of months ago that there is no religious extremist in the country, which is not true. We know it by all means. Even Tariq Rahman's own advisor, his name is Chowdhury Rahman, if I'm not wrong, he said just day after that home minister's what home minister said just the day after Tariq Rahman's own advisor, he claimed, no, we do have some religious extremists and we have to deal with them. So even in the government, looks like there is no coordination, nothing, no combined effort to deal with the religious extremism in Bangladesh, which is very, very, very alarming again. So thank you very much for pointing out. And you also talked about Rohingya. Sorry, I'm taking a long time, but I needed to say that in Rohingya camp, just 2 days ago, a 10-month-old boy, he was shot, and his father claimed that opposition they were targeting him, but they missed it, and as a result a 10 months old Rohingya boy was shot in the Rohingya camp. So it is unimaginable what is going on in the Rohingya camp as well. So again, something very, very alarming. Now, Jasmin Appa, I'm coming back to you, and thank you very much for waiting so patiently. We spoke about law enforcement already, but I want to know your opinion. So, public confidence in law enforcement depends not only on reducing crime, but on ensuring equal application of the law. Has that confidence strengthened? What do you think? Has that confidence strengthened or eroded? Jasmin.
Thank you, Rana. Now, public confidence, as we know, in law enforcement depends on a number of things. So it depends on personal safety, people feeling safe and secured. It's about equal treatment under the law, so every citizen is being treated equally, and the confidence that institutions are acting independently rather than politically. And judged against those standards, and given the context that you and Tonoy were just discussing, I believe public confidence has eroded rather than strengthened over the last 6 months. Many citizens, as we know, continue to express grave concerns about the rising in extremism, militant sort of extreme, visible rise in militancy, criminality, the mob violence on regular basis, and the weakening of effective law enforcement is certainly very evident. So when people feel that the streets they live on, the markets they visit, the workplaces, and businesses are less secure, confidence in policing inevitably declines. When people no longer feel safe and secure, even within the compounds of their own home, you can no longer deny, no matter how hard the Home Secretary tries, you can no longer deny there is a total breakdown in the rule of law in Bangladesh. So equally important is the perception of unequal application of law. So confidence is damaged when we hear about the mass arbitrary arrests, thousands of fabricated cases being filed against Awami League leaders and activists, business owners, journalists, cultural activists, teachers, freedom fighters, minority groups are being targeted by violent attacks. Women and children are being subject to rape, torture, harassment, and humiliation on a day-to-day basis, while politically connected individuals appear to receive indemnity and protection. It all kind of undermines the fundamental principle that everyone is equal before the law. I'm not sure where the government gets its data and starts from when they claim there are improvements in public order. But we are hearing from actual people continuing to experience extortion, more violence, theft, intimidation, or insecurity in their daily lives. So the public will judge, and they are judging the situation by their lived experiences, rather than by those official numbers that we are often seeing and hearing from government officials. Across many of the communities, ordinary citizens in Bangladesh are concerned not only about the crime itself, but about whether the state can guarantee any protection in their communities, in their workplaces, in areas where they live. And in matters of public confidence, perception is not a secondary issue. It is a central one. Even the perception of selective enforcements can be deeply damaging to democratic institutions. And when we see convicted war criminals are now in the parliament in Bangladesh as lawmakers, when we see militant, violent militant extremists, sort of believing Bangladesh is a safe haven for them now. Convicted criminals are being released and are walking free from our prisons. Killing of police officers, burning of police stations, looting of weapons, and all the abuse of power goes unnoticed, unaccounted for. This results in there's no accountability. Citizens begin to sort of doubt whether they will ever see any justice and rule of law. So confidence, needs to be restored, and it is restored usually through visible actions, which we are seeing very little or none from Tariq Rahman's BNP government over the last 6 months. We have seen none. So reducing crime, protecting all citizens equally, ensuring due process, holding wrongdoers accountable, criminals accountable, regardless of status, and demonstrating that the police serve the constitution and the public rather than the political interest. Confidence is eroded when law enforcement seems to be preoccupied and providing protection and indemnity to those responsible for killing and violence and causing devastation in people's lives and livelihood.
Thank you, Jasmin Abba. Can I come to you again, Jihan? Jihan, again, thank you very much for waiting patiently. Can I just go back to you again with the law and order situation in Bangladesh? How do you know, or how should we distinguish between isolated criminal incidents and a broader deterioration in law and order? Is it some scattered incident, or it's a pattern? What do you think?
Thank you, Rana. This is a
Can you mute my microphone, please? Somehow I cannot hear it.
Thank you, Rana, for this question because it is a very important question and the right question because law and order is can be anything. A few early head understand that look at some indicators with the homicide rate. Past 3 months after the BNP government, police headquarters reported 915 murder cases nationwide. This is the first 3 months.
Jihan, your microphone is too bad right now.
Sorry?
Your microphone. Please check your microphone.
Is it good now? Okay, so we have to look at the homicide data. The first 3 months under BNP government, there were 15 murder cases. It is more than 10 murders every day. It was 767 last year. Now, Rana Appa, this is not a noise. That's a trend line from the police's own bookkeeping. And then we can look at extortion. This morning, when going through the news, one news caught my eyes. It is that BNP leaders and activists are asking for extortion money even from the fishermen for going into the sea to catch fish. This is the extortion scenario. Now, we cannot really put numbers in extortion, but the proven reports show us that extortion is through the roof. And it is causing crimes at the local level. And then we can look at political violence because you attack a random union level party office, this is one thing. But across the country, when the attacks on political opposition are systemic, we cannot call it isolated. You don't attack the same Dhanmondi 32 residents 4 or 5 times. You don't attack the Awami League party office 4 or 5 times. Whenever there is some program of Awami League declared, you go and burn the same party office that is already burned and broken and looted. And then we can look at the mobs because the mob attacks keep rising. From March to April, it becomes from 21 to 32. It is not going down, it is going up. And then terrorism. Tonoy bhai, and you were talking about terrorism. I would like to quickly bring back what our Honorable ICT Minister Sojiv Wajed Joy Bhai has stated in one of his recent press conference. It is that Bangladesh has already become Pakistan on the eastern front of India, and the world should pay heed. Terrorism has already taken over Bangladesh. ISI, the Pakistan intelligence, has an open hand, he stated. The cross-border crimes, there are areas like Jungle, Salimpur, and Chittagong, where police is saying that this area is not properly policed. Arakan armies are taking our people and killing them. The borders are not protected properly. So all these are not isolated incidents, Pranapa. It is a clear pattern to destabilize Bangladesh. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Jihan. Tonoy, can I come back to you again? Can you please tell us about the healthy democracy? Now, as far as I know, a healthy democracy requires political competition under equal legal protection. How would you assess the current environment for political participation in Bangladesh? Tonoy.
You're exactly right. A healthy democracy means you will have an opposition party. And we all know that Jamaat Islami, the current opposition party in Bangladesh, is actually BNP's partner. They are their electoral partner, and it's known to the whole world.
You mean twin brother?
Yeah, they're twin brothers. Okay, it's twin brothers in Bangladesh. We said uncle and nephew. Uncles are Jamaat Islam and BNP is the nephew. Uncle and nephew is government running Bangladesh, and Bangladesh's opposition party, main opposition, Bangladesh Awami League, not opposition party, the party that should be in power legitimately. Bangladesh Awami League was not even have political rights. Just last week, our leader, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she was speaking at a press conference in Delhi. The entirety of the world, name any entity, news entity, they covered that event. Guess what? In Bangladesh, no news media was able to cover this because the BNP government said no one can cover Bangladesh Awami League's voices. So without an opposition, you do not have a democracy. That's not democracy. It's just lip service. Accountability. You do not have a opposition. You do not have accountability. You do not have institutions. And as I mentioned before, this BNP government, what they're doing, BNP and their predecessor, Mohammed Yunus, they are actually altogether Yunus, Jamaat, and BNP. They are destabilizing Bangladesh. Bangladesh's economy, Bangladesh's institutions, they are breaking Bangladesh apart brick by brick. And for us to do that, okay, they're destroying our democracy. We do not have a democracy right now. Also, let's not forget Bangladesh. Okay, we have 70 million people. It's a massive market. What's happening right now? Jihan was talking about Arakan army. The Bangladeshi people. Okay, we are funding the whole war in Myanmar. Ask me how? Arakan army's drugs trade. The border is open because the local BNP leader and the chain of command of the BNP, they are making money out of drugs. So Arakan army is selling drugs in Bangladesh, synthetic drugs, what we call it yaba, the most fatal one in Bangladesh, one of our major crises. That money funding the war. Then we have extortion in our border. Our fishermen cannot go to the sea because if they go to the sea, Arakan army is abducting them, and our Coast Guard and Navy are told do nothing. Arakan army can do whatever they want because they are now in partnership with BNP, and that's exactly what's happening in our country. Our border serves as an example. That Yaba situation, extortion situation, everywhere you go in the underworld. Okay, the people who used to be a knife yielding 2.5 years ago, the thugs with knives now using AK-47. We have seen it video footage openly. They're firing at business people's home for extortion money. These are the things we have seen in Bollywood movies or in 1980s Hollywood movie. So but BNP is basically, do not call it a democracy. BNP is a mafia, and the mafia, Tariq Rahman is at the top, and you have all these capos, okay, and capos are running the government, running the scene, and he is at the top there. Corruption, no democracy, mafia-style government. Thank you so much, Rana.
Thank you very much, Tonoy. And just to repeat it over and over
Rana,
again.
but just a minute. I wanted to say actually Orwellian government. But I just figured out that Orwellian actually political government, even Orwellians. This is not Orwellian. This is just a mafia-style government, gangster government running in the country.
Um, thank you very much, Tonoy. Just to add on to the same thing that I get every chance, I talk about the same thing in every persecution report or any other program I do. Awami League is still not allowed to have any activity in Bangladesh, and that decision was taken in a very unlawful way, where the Awami League was not given any option to present their case. So democracy does not work in this way, and of course there is no democracy in Bangladesh. Now, Jasmin Appa, can I quickly come back to you? We are in short of time, but I want to ask you this question so badly. Can I ask you, regardless of which party is in power, what safeguards you believe should exist to protect the political rights of both governing and opposition parties? Jasmin Appa.
Thank you, Rana. So regardless of which political party is in power, the most important safeguard in a democracy is that no government should be able to erase the political rights, the historical and constitutional legitimacy of any of a nation, basically, or the civic existence of a major political force in that country. In the context of Bangladesh, many citizens are deeply concerned about the developments we've seen over the last 2 years, which goes beyond the ordinary political competition and amount to a broader challenge to the ideals associated and the values associated with the 1971 Liberation War. For Bangladeshis, 71 was not simply a military victory. It was a struggle against decades of political, economic, and cultural oppression, and a movement for self-determination, democracy, secularism, and social justice. Awami League played the leading role in that movement under the leadership of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And therefore, banning the party cannot be described merely as a partisan issue. It is a matter of contesting the very national historical identity of Bangladesh. Banning the country's largest political party also creates an impression that the movement associated with the birth of a sovereign Bangladesh is being treated as illegitimate. So the attacks on the freedom fighters, damage to the historical war memorials, monuments, the demolition of 32 Dhanmondi, and the arrests of not only Awami League leaders, but anyone who is connected to the values of the liberation movement, contend and contribute to a perception that the spirit of 1971 is itself is under attack. And how about the huge amount of cases, filed in connection with the events in July and August? We've heard about how a lot of those cases turned out to be fabricated. There's no evidence, as many of the alleged dead have, all of a sudden turned out to be alive. In some cases, the causes of death has proven to be, nothing to do with they're totally unrelated to the events that unfolded in July and August 2024. So such allegations require independent, transparent, and judicially supervised investigation. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina did set up a commission on 18th of July 2024. This was disbanded by Muhammad Yunus, while those responsible for the killing, looting, and the destruction were given indemnity. And this was extended after Tariq Rahman took charge in February this year. And only the faces, as you mentioned earlier on in the show, only the faces seem to have changed here. The conspiracy, the deceit, the political, the propaganda we have seen for many, many years, actually, the politics of fear and hate has continued. We must also talk about the unexplained sort of custodial deaths and abuse, which represent a grave violation of rule of law and human rights. Many of the deaths of Army League leaders, custodial deaths. And at the same time, citizens are alarmed that they perceive, this deterioration in public order and the visibility of extremist militancy, as well as the, harassment and rape of women, children. These issues do not affect one political party, but the broader sense of security and social cohesion in a country. So ultimately, the safeguard that Bangladesh needs is not the protection of party at the expense of another. It is the protection of constitutional democracy, historical truth, due process, freedom of expression, and equal citizenship. A nation founded through a liberation struggle should be especially careful that political disagreements do not become an attempt to erase history, silence dissent, or criminalize those who continue to believe in the ideals of 1971. The answer to political conflict in a democracy is not the exclusion or collective punishment. It is the independent institutions, fair trials, fair political competition, and the respect for values that inspired and the creation of Bangladesh itself. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Jasmin Appa. I fully agree with everything, every single word you just said. Now we came towards the end of today's program. Now, look, Bangladesh, we do not need another set of government who believes in political vendetta, who believes in capturing institution, who believes in capturing everything the way they want to do it. We have seen that enough after 5th of August 2024. So in Bangladesh, we need a government. That government will be people's government. The government will treat the citizens equally regardless of their background, and will be waiting for this Bangladesh patiently. But for today, I am signing off, and thank you very, very much, my lovely friends and the panelists. It was an honor to sit with you, and thank you very, very much. And for everyone, goodbye, stay safe, stay well. Joy Bangla.
জয় বাংলা।